Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. And I gotta say, guys, this is a fun episode of NXT, some enjoyable matches, some ground laid for next week as far as what matches we could get, and an ending, a closing of a few moments that were marred in controversy still. So controversy still persists as it pertains to the NXT Championship picture. Ashton, what do you think of tonight's episode of NXT?
This was a solid episode. I gotta say, I really like the ECF arena?
CFE arena.
CFE. I got the letters right. I was just in the wrong order.
Yeah.
I really like that, though, because Full Sail is great and all, and they're always really into the shows, but it's nice to have a different crowd's perspective. Even if it's in the same state, it's nice to have a different crowd's perspective and know that acts that are really over in Full Sail are just as over everywhere else.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. It's always nice to get that fresh perspective. That's what I loved, about the whole prospect of NXT being able to go on tour and do shows like Brooklyn and London, because you really get to see that the appeal isn't just contained in one university. It's not only national, but global. I mean, again, with NXT London and stuff like that, some of these guys just have global popularity. And yes, this was a solid episode, but with that said, let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. I really don't have any heats tonight. I feel like everything on this show accomplished what it needed to. And yeah, I really don't have any complaints. What about you, Ashton?
No, I don't have any heats of the night either. As far as nitpicks go, I'm a little bit confused just as far as what they're doing with Baron Corbin.
Yeah, because I really don't know what direction they're going to take with him. We know he's not in the conversation for the NXT Championship, which
is
I think
tragic, but I have accepted that, yes.
Yes, I was going to say, it is a travesty, but I have accepted it as well. So I don't really know where he fits, and this whole eye for an eye thing, you got to wonder if he's going to try and forcefully tie himself back into the goings-on between Zayn and Joe. So we'll have to see about that. But yeah, I agree with you. It is confusing right now. Kind of a foggy situation as far as what Corbin does here. But other than that, yeah, it seemed pretty straightforward, this episode of NXT, and I've got no complaints, and you don't seem to either. So let's keep the ball rolling with our NXT review. And Ashton, how do we open this baby up?
We open this baby up with a huge tag team match, an 8-man tag. We've got Enzo and Cass and Jordan and Gable on one side, and then Blake and Murphy and the Mechanics on the other side. And before we even talk about the match, can I just say, regarding Jordan and Gable, oh my God, I love the new attire.
That attire, I don't know why this particularly popped into my head, but when I saw it, I'm like, that seems like something like an Eddie Guerrero or Chris Jericho would wear in like ECW in the 90s or something. Yeah. It had like that ECW kind of 90s feel to me.
Yep.
I really
dude, honestly, it's not even ECW, it's just 90s. That was the most 90s attire I've seen since Xavier Woods was on NXT.
Yeah, there you go. I loved it. I dug it. I tell you dug it too, so that was great. And as far as this match goes, you want to talk about digging it. This was a fun opener right here. It's funny.
Would be a perfectly acceptable curtain jerker for a pay-per-view.
Yes.
Because it was just so exciting.
And it's funny because, I'm just going to level with you guys, personally, okay? I am such a Jordan Gable mark. I was kind of lamenting the idea, oh, man, they're lumped into an 8-man tag. I mean, I loved all the teams involved, but, I'm just such a fan of Jordan and Gable. I want them in, standard tag matches whenever we can get it. But this match was so fun, instantly took my bad mood away, and I'm like, no, you know what? They're so great. This is why this match works, because all of these teams are top notch. And can I just say too, outside of Jordan and Gable, what I loved about this match, I don't know if you caught it, there were 2 times that I caught Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder communicating with each other, as a team. Oh, get the knee up, give me some knee. Or, Dawson, get in there, you distract the ref, I'm gonna do this thing here, I'm gonna take a cheap shot at Enzo. And I love that because they're the tag team champions, and their whole thing is their mechanics, their throwbacks. They bring tag team wrestling back to that science, that art form, and just seeing those guys talk to each other about, working together, cutting the ring in half. I just thought it was so damn good because, of course, they would because they're the champions. So I really appreciated that touch. Thought that was great.
Yeah.
What were some of the highlights for you in this match?
Honestly, just everything that involved Jordan and Cass. That whole sequence was amazing. Like, Gable is just getting beat down and rest holds for days, and he's struggling so much to get the tag. And when he finally tags Jordan in, Jordan does his thing, and he kind of goes berserk, but then Cass comes in, and it's like we have two hot tags at the same time. It was awesome.
And they're pumping each other up because they're just like, yeah, and I just, like, you thought that the arena was going to implode just with everything going on. And what I think is so, I shouldn't say unique, because to be honest, I did kind of expect it, but I didn't expect it in this way. What I love about this is that both the babyface teams, American Alpha and Enzo and Cass, look so dominant against the tag team champions, because American Alpha got their tag team finisher on, I believe it was Scott Dawson. Yes, it was Scott Dawson. And he was going to get pinned, but Dash Wilder breaks it up. So then, Dash Wilder gets disposed of. Enzo gets the tag. He gets launched like a projectile by Cass, their double team maneuver, which I think Tom Phillips described as like a heat-seeking missile or a rocket launcher, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was rocket launcher. Or missile launcher, maybe even.
Yeah, and Enzo gets the pin. So you have both teams that really could make the claim that, we pin the NXT Tag Team Champions. The only difference is one team actually did it all the way through. Yeah. And, it's no surprise to me that it's Enzo and Cass because they're the ones really entwined in this program right now with the mechanics. But it just goes to show American Alpha cannot be that far behind. Which really makes me happy because if you guys couldn't tell, I'm really high on these guys. So, really fun matchup. I freaking loved it. And I'll just kind of lump it in with this segment. We did get announced next week that American Alpha will be taking on Blake and Murphy in a rematch. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think those two teams will kill it next week.
Yeah, and based on this match, we might be getting another Enzo and Cass title shot at Dash and Dawson.
Yeah, I would certainly think so. You know what? I wouldn't even be surprised, Dash, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but we have NXT next week. I could see the week after being their tag title match. I could see that happening. So we'll see, but I definitely agree with you. They have gotten themselves back in the conversation with Enzo pinning Scott Dawson, and this is just a really fun matchup. I loved it. The perfect kind of opener that you want on any show. I mean, you gave it the praise of that this could have been an opener for a pay-per-view, and I completely agree. And these guys shows that 8-man tags don't have to be boring or this, that, or the other. I felt like this was high energy the entire time. I loved it.
Yeah. All right, so up next, we had an Alex Reyes interview. It was originally meant to be with Deonna Purrazzo, and she does say that getting knocked out by Asuka the first time was a learning experience, but then she gets interrupted by Dana Brooke and Emma, who say that she's foolish and that they run NXT, and that even though Asuka has beaten them, the only way that she was able to beat them was because she got lucky. And they make sure to emphasize, even Michael Jordan has an off day every now and then. And then they say that if Deonna thinks she can do what they couldn't, she's even more pathetic than she looks.
Yeah, love the heel work here from Emma and Dana. I thought it was on point. I like Deonna's promo, too. It was perfect in both. She gave Asuka her props, because I remember her saying that Asuka, no doubt is one of the best in the world. But also, exercising humility. Getting knocked out was a learning experience. She didn't even really try and talk herself up. She's just like, look, I know how good Asuka is, but getting knocked out was a learning experience, and I hope to do, better tonight. I really like that. I like the humility that Deonna showed. I feel like it was a welcome thing, and I think it made her all the more sympathetic when the heels come on and just really trample all over her efforts. So I thought this was really well done.
Yep, it was. And then we get right into the match, actually. Deonna Purrazzo versus Asuka. And let's be real, Deonna never stood a chance here. I mean, we had Asuka eating a crossbody and a few forearms, but she pretty much dominated Purrazzo in this match other than that.
Yeah, I even tweeted, for you guys that have been following me, I'm pretty sure that Asuka straight up murdered Deonna Purrazzo tonight, because damn did she whoop that ass. Like, Deonna did do a little bit better with the crossbody and the forearms, to your point, Ashton. but it was a foregone conclusion before the bell even rang. This was Asuka's to win, and there's really no other way to say it. She gets the pinfall victory here after knocking Deonna Purrazzo out again, which I find funny because you would have thought with her saying, oh, it's a learning experience, she would have had that more scouted. But I guess even if you had the best scout in the world, it wouldn't have mattered in the end because Asuka always gets what she wants. So.
Well, and how are you going to scout out the spinning heel kick when it's preceded by 3 back fists to the future?
Exactly. I'm actually don't even think you could scout your own vision at that point. You wouldn't be able to make out anything, let alone a kick coming for your face. So.
Exactly. Yeah, that was. You know what, though? I like that Asuka gave her at least the credibility of not just immediately trying to put her down. And I know she did kind of take a swing at the very beginning of the match, but once they got into it and she kind of realized, okay, this girl isn't a complete pushover. Maybe I should knock her out before. Maybe I should, just kind of knock her senseless before I go full-on beast mode and knock her the hell out.
Yeah, I completely agree. A solid matchup that served its purpose. I still can't believe this feud between Asuka and Emma and Dana is still going on, but I haven't tired of it yet. And I think that's really a testament, not necessarily to the babyface, because I feel like sometimes the heel shoulders more responsibility in keeping a feud fresh, and Emma's just that good. And Dana, in her particular role, I think is doing just fine as well. So I'm really enjoying all parties involved, and poor Deonna Purrazzo gets left in the dust again. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. All right, so now we had probably the low point of the night. My personal low shot, if this was low shot, then high spots and low shots in Ashton's life, my low shot of my Wednesday night was having to listen to Eva Marie and Nia Jax talk.
Yeah, oh god.
I don't mind Nia so much, but Eva just sounds like she's reading a script, and it's really bad.
Yeah, and you called out Asuka, so not only do you have no athleticism to even belong here, but you're stupid. Like, why would you do that? I mean, I've done some stupid shit in my life, people. I could tell you some stories. But I don't even really think I'm as stupid as to lay down the gauntlet to somebody that couldn't physically kill me. Okay? Mind your words there, Eva. I don't agree with her laying down the gauntlet to Asuka at all.
Dude, I want that match. I want that match so bad just to watch Asuka dominate her.
And see, you know what, Ashton? This is one place where I could give WWE, because it's NXT, credit. They know you want that match. They know I want that match. They know every wrestling fan, packed in that arena and around the world wants that match. And that's going to be the payoff for Eva's heat, regardless of its legitimate heel heat or X-Pac heat. It doesn't matter because they're cashing in on it with Asuka. And I think that's brilliant.
John, I think that we made the decision a few months ago not to call it X-Pac heat anymore. It now is Eva Marie heat.
Yeah, it is a category all on its own. So, regardless, though, they are cashing in on it through Asuka. And I love that. And I also love how Eva really doesn't have anything to say when Nia Jax, in my mind anyway, rightly points out that if she was cleared, she would have won that Battle Royal. And we know that, when that segment originally happened a few weeks ago, Eva was, behind Nia's back celebrating the fact that Nia would be absent. But yeah, she's not going to throw the challenge down to Nia, but talking to Asuka, that's no problem. Get your priorities straight, woman. Jesus.
Yeah. So, they do their thing. And Nia Jax talks about how if she hadn't been injured, if she would have gotten cleared, she would be the #1 contender by now because she would have won the Battle Royal.
Right.
I don't, honestly, I love that they used that storyline to keep her out of that match because I would have believed it if she would have.
Exactly. I love that they protect her and her dominance while at the same time, establishing a fresh contender in Carmella through that Battle Royal. And now it's still relevant because Nia still has sour grapes over it, and now we have this feud, Eva and Nia and Bayley and Carmella now. So it really worked on a multitude of levels, and I've got to give NXT credit for that.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to something that I can not only believe but believe in, and that's Ty Dillinger.
Yes, dude, this match, though. Ty Dillinger versus Alex Riley. Alex Riley pretty much controls a majority of the matchup. He's really grounding Ty Dillinger. Really, it almost seems like he's taking him lightly. It's that kind of offense. It's aggressive. It's mean-spirited, but it's also mocking and derogatory in its own way because it's like, what am I doing here? Even commentary, including Corey Graves. I don't know if you'll take umbrage with that, Ashton, because I know we've already mentioned it with Elias Sampson, but even he's taking issue with Riley's comments that NXT is a joke, and he's like, who is he to call a joke? He hasn't shaved in 5 months, and stuff like that. But
looks like he hasn't taken out or hasn't washed his hair in decades.
Exactly. And yet, for all of Alex Riley's bravado and anger, he gets caught. And Ty Dillinger actually gets the win, and the crowd pops. And not only does the crowd pop, but it was the perfect ammunition for me, because I mocked Alex Riley on Twitter. I said, oh, now he can take to Twitter and bitch about how Ty Dillinger is more over than he is, and he beat him. Rage, Lyrie, rage. LMAO. So, yeah, I'm pretty much mocking Alex Riley now. We'll see if he gets to see that. But I love it. I love that he gets humiliated. I love that Ty Dillinger got the win. One would hope that this would be the start of Ty Dillinger's push that I know you and I have been wanting, because he has something with this Perfect 10 gimmick, dude. It connects with the crowd, and this isn't Full Sail. You know, as we've been saying, this is the CFE arena. So at least we know in Florida, Ty Dillinger is incredibly over. I'm telling you, if they want to start pushing him as that baby face that just really has that charismatic personality, it can work, especially because I do see a title change coming soon with Finn Balor, and I don't know, Ty Dillinger could be that little engine that could kind of story. I could buy it. So I'm hoping his stock's going to start going up from here, and Alex Riley isn't a bad place to start.
Yeah, and just really, really nice to see him pick up a win here tonight.
Completely agree, man.
And
I love it.
Match at that too. Like, this match was pretty good. Obviously, it wasn't match of the night because the main event took that, and you know the other matches were also really good. But it was still, for a match, like if you would just see the match on paper and just see the names in it, most people would be like, "Oh, that's probably going to be, that's probably going to stink it up a little bit." But it ended up being an enjoyable match to watch.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I actually do think it was the right call, not just because you and I, well, I mean, especially you and me, like, outside of the whole Johnny Scumbag thing, really do like Ty Dillinger. I think also it fits with Riley's gimmick, being angry and being bitter at NXT, that now he has something to fuel that anger and fuel that bitterness, because I guarantee you, if these two guys get in the ring again, no offense to Dillinger, but I don't just see Riley winning that match. I see him kind of making a statement where he kayfabe maybe takes Ty Dillinger off television, maybe. Just to really kind of prove that point.
Or not.
Hey, I'm being sincere here. I'm trying to, commit to analysis.
Oh, please, you're just trying to write Dillinger off TV, and you know it.
Oh, take your grapes elsewhere. Look, if I wanted to write somebody off TV, obviously Sami Zayn would be the first on my list. So, check yourself.
That's not
anyway.
It's definitely Dillinger, just because of my love for him.
Of course it is. But anyway,
you don't dislike Sami Zayn as much as you like Kevin Owens.
Yeah, that's
We've
true.
already established that, but you love to take little pokes at Ty Dillinger just to spite me.
Well, that seems to really be reading into things, but I'm sure we can devote a portion of psychoanalysis in a later episode. But regardless, Dillinger gets the win tonight, and I love Corey Graves' initial response. What'd you expect, Phillips? He's a perfect 10. So on that note, what happened next, brother?
Up next was the weird Baron Corbin confronting William Regal segment. I'm the kind of guy that believes in an eye for an eye. So apparently now he's also rhyming, especially when it comes to stealing.
Yeah, so articulate Scott Steiner pretty much letting William Regal know, hey, I want that NXT championship. You're not going to give it to me. And, I can see that in the dichotomy between being a part of the solution or part of the problem, you have exercised being part of the problem. So
I'm the kind of guy that believes in an eye for an eye, especially when it comes to stealing.
Ha! Take your clothes off. I'm working off. Sorry. But regardless.
That really is your go-to, isn't it?
It's just so good. And Lauren just looked so perplexed. Like, she's just like, I'm here for an interview segment. What is this? Do I go to HR with this? Is this just part of the... I don't know. But regardless, yeah, Corbin not having any of that crap. Regal looked somewhat concerned, as he should, because I think Corbin is just 3 seconds away from straight up killing someone for not getting an NXT title opportunity. And the really sad part is, I really can't find much issue with Corbin here. I can understand his case wholeheartedly. But, yeah, Regal, he's just looking straight ahead to Sami Zayn versus Joe later tonight. So that's all there is to that.
Yeah. All right. So now we get to our main event. Samoa Joe, Sami Zayn, obviously match of the night. I would argue match of the week so far. Really solid match. Zayn got absolutely destroyed, but just kept on coming back. The match ends when Joe goes for a muscle buster. Sami fights his way out of it, hits a haluva kick, and then literally drapes his lifeless body over Samoa Joe's lifeless body, but in a way that his shoulders were also on the mat and Joe's arm was on top of Sami's arm. So we have basically a human pretzel here where both men are in some way or another on top of the other while the other person's shoulders are on the mat. We get a 3 count and it's a draw. And I'm just going to say right now, I think that is BS because Sami's right shoulder was off the mat when the referee hit 1.
Yeah, well, regardless, they call it a draw. I agree with you. I didn't really see what the controversy was. I love Joe, but being completely fair, Sami had the win here.
Yeah.
As far as the match itself goes, in my personal opinion, I freaking loved it. I think it was perfect to pair these two together, and they told the perfect story given their disparities in stature and style and just everything, because it really looked at times like Joe was torturing Sami, but Sami, of course, being that character with the indomitable spirit, would not yield to Samoa Joe, and his comebacks were great stuff. And I
love the first one where he was just throwing lariats like it was nothing.
Yes, that was great. And then you've got the whole sequence where, Zayn tries to get the Huluva kick, but then he gets caught in the coquina clutch. And just everything about these two and the way they worked together was on point. They told a fantastic story. I gotta be honest, I was close to making it a nitpick, but I decided no, because I want to see how the story plays out. I really didn't I was even kind of annoyed that the controversy is still persisting. Like, maybe that's just me. Maybe I just want to get the show on the road. But I wasn't really a fan of that. And especially added to your point, it seemed pretty clear to me that Sami Zayn had this thing. I mean, he was lying on top of the guy, for God's sakes. I don't really see what the issue is, whatever. But, yeah, we'll see how it gets resolved. But still, phenomenal matchup. Great way to cap off NXT for the night. And, yeah, I mean, these guys still going strong with their main events as NXT and just their shows in general. This was a fun episode, and nothing more I can say than that. What about you?
Yeah, this was the match itself was a lot of fun, like I said. And, as far as the finish, it felt a little bit like a cop-out, but I'm not going to make any big judgments until I find out where they go with it, which we have to wait until next week. So they did a good job of making us want to tune in next week because they gave us a little bit of a cliffhanger there. So props to NXT for handling this the way they did.
Absolutely. All right, with that said, let's just get right into our next segment, high spots and low shots. My low shot's Alex Riley. Because you validated what everybody's been saying about you for years tonight. You're a failure. You were in complete control and you thought you were on shit, but Ty Dillinger exposed you as not even being a warm fart. Get the hell out of here. Oh, man. Alex Riley's my low shot. You?
I don't think I have any flamethrowers quite as hot as yours. But I think my low shot's going to be Scott Dawson because he's a champion and he got pinned.
Yeah.
That's actually, you know what? I'm proud of myself because that's a pretty consistent running theme with me. Anytime a champion gets pinned, they tend to be my low shot.
And for good reason. When you're a champion, in a kind of kayfabe sense in a wrestling realm, that signifies that you're the best in whatever division you're representing. Scott Dawson got pinned tonight. You could make the claim that maybe he's not the best after all, and what's a worse night than that, than realizing you just might be a fraud. So there you go. Scott Dawson, I love that pick. Moving right along, my high spot. Ooh, this is going to be a bit tougher this week. But you know what? I'm going to say that my high spot, no.
You know
what? Actually, no. I know what my high spot is. My high spot's Finn Balor. Because he gave, I think, didn't he have an interview tonight where he said, he was going to be watching this match with interest or whatever? And,
yeah, you know what? When was that? I don't even remember.
I think that was pretty late in the show, but regardless.
I forgot to write it down. Oh, well.
No, it's okay. Well, I'm bringing it up now, so it's cool. And he pretty much says, it's going to be, interesting to watch, and both guys are legit, blah, blah, blah. If you're Finn Balor, and nothing against Finn, if anybody's ever heard me talk about him, they know I love the guy, they know you love the guy. But in a kayfabe sense, you got to be laughing your ass off and smiling because you're just sitting here with your championship. Yeah, you had a competitive non-title match against Apollo Crews, but you won that match, and there still isn't a contender established. All the while, you get to heal up, you get to be at your best whenever that next title event is. So he is a freaking eye spot because the bureaucracy that is NXT hasn't even fed him any challengers. He's on a paid vacation right now, as far as I'm concerned. There's no higher spot than that. This guy doesn't even have to lift a finger, and he's doing better than the rest of his crop right now. Unbelievable.
That is true.
Who's your high spot?
Ty Dillinger.
I knew you were gonna take it. I'm like, I almost wanted to take it solely for the purpose of you not having it, but I felt
no,
like
dude. I don't know if you were hearing me, but I was actually saying you can have him because I was assuming that you were thinking about taking Dillinger, and I was trying to give you the go ahead to take him, but. If you don't want him, I'll take him. If you were gonna take him, I probably would have ended up picking Asuka because she's just amazing.
Yeah, dude, she killed it tonight, literally and metaphorically. I can't disagree with that in the slightest. I got nothing to add to that. So, is there anything else you want to say about tonight's NXT?
I don't think so. No.
All right, guys. Well, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Ashton, what question do you have for our subscribers this week?
My biggest question is, who's the number one contender?
Yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with us that it's BS that there's even controversy because it seemed like Sami Zayn was pretty clearly the established contender? Or do you have a different view altogether? Get that conversation started down in the comments. Be sure to take that conversation over to Tweetoff. That is Pro Wrestling is taking over Facebook. A lot of proud NXT fans there. I'm sure they're talking about the main event, throwing out their own theories, so you'll fit right in. Be sure also to like the TWitWoW Facebook page. We have a Facebook page up now, but if Facebook isn't your scene, you can take it over to the TWitWoW subreddit. There you will find all of our TWitWoW content, and you as a member of the TWitWoW subreddit community have the ability to make threads of your own on all things related to pro wrestling. However, if you want to converse with me and Ashton on the ground level in the most intimate way possible, you can now follow both of us on Twitter. I am at John_TwitWoW, and Ashton is at Apond404. So if you really want to converse with us and get there, be sure to follow both of us on Twitter. It's an amazing time. I've really been enjoying it, especially mocking certain people I hate, which is delicious. And guys, we will see you again. It's going to be a packed rest of the week because we have most immediately upcoming our Thursday night SmackDown review. We're going to find out if Chris Jericho accepts AJ Styles' challenge for a third matchup at Fastlane. And then speaking of Fastlane, Saturday we have got Friday, excuse me, yeah, we're changing up a little bit. Friday, we have got our Fastlane preview and predictions, which I cannot wait to have. I don't think I've ever been more excited in recent memory for a preview and prediction than this one, because I have a lot to say about the main event. I'm sure Ashton has got quite a bit to say himself. And then it's capped off on Sunday with Fastlane 2016 live reactions. I have a feeling these live reactions are going to be quite memorable, if for nothing else. That triple threat main event, it's either going to end in a groan or a roar, but regardless, you guys know you are not going to want to miss that. I'll coming at your subscription box with all kinds of content for the remainder of this week. And until then, tune in and peace out.